Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Okay, so in last class, we have discussed different plans for the EC2 instance. What are the different types of uh, savings plans that we can opt in EC2? There are multiple plans, right? One is reserved plans, convertible reserved instances plans, savings plan, spot instances for dedicated hosts, capacity reservations. Okay, we have discussed all these different types of plans. So whichever is useful, whichever is as per the requirement, we have to go for that plan. Okay, in general, if for any company in general, if they are using a specific configuration for a longer period of time, we'll go for reserved plans. Like 1 year, they'll directly pay for 1 year or 3 years, and they will opt for the reserved plan. If there are, apart from reserved plans, the most commonly used plan is the savings plan. That is depends on the usage. So mostly in a standard like in production environments, in these things, right, reserved plans and savings plans will be considered. Okay, this is all about the different plans we have discussed yesterday, and also we have discussed about elastic IPs. Okay, why? What is the purpose of elastic IP? If we want to make the IP permanent for an instance, we have to opt for elastic IP. So even though if you reboot the server, the elastic IP will not change for that particular server. Okay, in real-time environment, we use elastic IPs only. Okay, and also we discussed about the placement groups. Placement groups means in our EC2 instance, in which placement group we have to place our EC2 instance, either cluster or spread or partition based. We have to create a group and we have to create the number of instances we need. So that is completely depend on the application, which application we are using. Depending on that application requirement, if it is for low latency, we will go for cluster. If it is for high availability, we will go for spread. If it is, if we need to consider both latency wise and also high availability wise, we have to go for partition based placement group. Okay, this is what we have discussed yesterday. Now we will discuss, today we will discuss about elastic network interface. Network interfaces. What is a network interface? Network interface is nothing but it's like a NIC card. For every server, there will be a network interface attached to it. So if there is IP means those IP will be attached to the network interface. Okay. For example, here by default there are 3 instances present here. These 3 instances, if you see, a specific network interface will be available. Network interface of respective IP. So this interface is tagged to the respective IP. So when you log into the server and if you execute ifconfig command, we are able to see what are all the network interfaces available in that server and what are all the IPs tagged to that server. We can able to know that. Okay. Is it mandatory for any server? One network interface is needed, but there will be some more interfaces in real time. One will be used for backup purpose, another will be used for application purpose. Okay, so depends on the scenarios. Multiple NIC cards will be available. Means multiple interfaces will be tagged to the server. Okay, now we will see how to create the network interface, how to map that network interface, or how to attach or detach a network interface to a particular server. We will see that today. Okay, for that to perform like those testing, we will create two instances. And also we have a feasibility that in the network interface, and also in the for the network interface, we can switch the network interface, we can attach the network interface from one server to other server. Okay. Now I'll launch two instances and we will see what are the interfaces that has been mapped to it, and we will create one new network interface. We will try to attach that interface to the particular server. Okay, I am launching two instances to perform this activity. Just I am giving as test instance. I am using the Amazon image only. I am going for the default free tier instance type, and I'm selecting the existing key which I have generated, and I'm creating, or I can select the existing network security group, which, okay, I'm selecting the launch wizard 7. I'm going with the default storage only, right? And I'm not going to select any parameters from the advanced section. Okay, I'm creating two instances. We can create two instances. Okay. I'm launching the two instances. Okay. We'll wait for a minute. Let's see. Account create చేసుకున్నారా మీరు? నేను అకౌంట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నా. ఇన్స్టెన్స్ లాంచ్ చేసి చూసారా? ఓకే. మీకు నేను ఇప్పుడు అయిన టాపిక్స్ మళ్ళీ రివైజ్ చేస్తాను ఆఫ్టర్ క్లాస్. Okay, we created now two instances of same configuration. Okay, just I am changing the name for understanding purpose. First instance, okay, second instance. So still these are getting assigned. Okay, now if you see, public IP is already assigned for this. So if public IP is assigned, in the sense, it means that an interface will be by default assigned to this particular instance. Okay, and if you go to networking and see, this is the network card that is being tagged to this instance, or we can say interface, network interface, and this is the public IP assigned to this interface. So network interface card is always assigned to the public IP. Okay, now if you want to see what are all the network interfaces available for all the instances, go to the network interfaces tab and see what are the network interfaces currently available. You can see all the network interfaces are in use. Okay, if you want to see by logging into the server, what are all the interfaces that are present on one server? Okay, go to this instance, connect. This time connecting. I'm switching to the root. Okay, so what is the command to check the interfaces available on the server? If config, ifconfig. If config is the command to check what are all the interfaces that have been assigned. This is the interface name, ENX0. For any server, interface will be assigned. And this is the IP that has been assigned to this interface. Okay. If you see, right, there is another interface. This is called as virtual interface, or we can call it as loopback interface. For every server, loopback interface will always be present. The purpose of this is just to reach within the server, within the server, one loopback interface will be available. If you try to ping the same IP using this loopback interface, it will try to connect it. Okay, by default for all Linux instances, loopback interface will be available. Okay, so now you should be able to understand what is network interface. Network interface is nothing but a logical interface. It is a virtual network interface. It's not like a physical. For a physical card, for every physical server, there will be a physical NIC will be there. As it is a virtual server, virtual network interface will be present. Virtual network card, we call it as. This is a logical component. Okay, so one elastic network interface we call it as. Each elastic network interface will be assigned to the server. It can be one or more number of network interfaces will be there. Each network interface is mapped to one public IP and one private IP. For each network interface, a MAC address will be present. What is MAC address? Is nothing but a unique identifier. Okay. If you connect, right, if you see, this is the MAC address of the interface. There should be some identification, right? Server will be able to identify the network interface using this MAC address. Okay, and also you can see number of packets received, number of bytes received. RX means received, TX means transferred, number of packets transferred, number of bytes transferred. Okay, if there are any errors, means that basically from this interface, if there are any connectivity happening, suppose assume this Linux server is talking to any other server. Means if, in this server we have installed the application. In another Linux server, if you install database, so if database application is talking to each other, then it will communicate using this IP address only. Always two servers will communicate using the IP address only. Right? IP address is mapped to this interface. So any data transfers, any communication, any port related communication will happen through IP address of the server only. Okay, so how much data is transferring at this point of time? Till now, how much data transferred using this interface? You will calculate using, basically that will be identified here. Okay, this is all a little bit of Linux concepts. No need to worry about it. Just remember, a network interface will be assigned to every Linux server. It is a virtual network card, or we can say virtual network interface. An IP assigned to it. That IP is used for all communication. Means using that only we will log into the server. If this server, if the application in this server is talking to any other application in different server, all the communications should go through this interface only. This is the importance of network interface. Now, one interface has been mapped. For example, now an application has been installed. Like yesterday, we have deployed one AWS application. Like yesterday, we have deployed one AWS application. So, if any other person wants to access that application using different IP address, they don't want to use the primary interface. They want to configure another IP for that application, and they will use that IP in the application. So in that scenarios, you may have to configure new interfaces. You may have to configure new interface to that server. Okay. So where we can check what are all the interfaces that are present on network interfaces, you can see what are all the interfaces. So now we will create a new network interface and we will attach that network interface to this server and see how can we attach it and how can we list it in the server. Okay. This is all the network interface that are currently present. To create a new network interface, just you can click on create a new interface. You can give as test interface name, and when you are assigning this, creating this network interface, you should always create in a same subnet where your instance is running. If your instance is mapped to which availability zone, you have to select it. So this network interface is combined with the availability zone. If you create a network interface in one availability zone, and if your instance is running on another availability zone, you cannot assign the network interface. Always network interface should be in the same region or same availability zone where instance is also running. Instance availability zone lo untado, ade availability zone lo network interface kuda undali. Okay? Don't worry. Okay. So now in which availability zone it is present, where we can check which availability zone it is present. Instances. For example, you can see this first instance is in US East 1B. Okay, in US East 1B, it is present. So you have to create the network interface in US East 1B only. Right? If you create in different availability zone, it won't be mapped. Now, if you want to see for every network interface to tag to the server, an IP address must be assigned. Okay, IP address అనేది compulsory assign చేసి ఉండాలి network interface కి. So you can always create a custom IP or you can always go with the auto assign. Now, for every network interface, one security group also should be assigned. Security group. So what are the instance security group that are assigned to that particular instance, the same security group also should be assigned. Okay, now create a network interface. So what is the network interface we have created? Test interface. Okay. If you can see, all the other network interfaces are in use because it is tagged to already servers. Various servers can tag in, we are getting as in use. This interface which you have created new network, it is as showing as available. Now what I am doing is I am attaching this interface to the instance ID. Which instance ID you have to tag? I am currently tagging it to see why only 3 instances has been listed here, whereas in my, if I see there are 5 servers are created in my account, but if you see the network interface, it is listing only 3. Why? Did you observe like why it is showing only 3? Is there any specific reason? 3? It is showing 3, right? Why? Why only 3? Generally, it should show 5 instances, right? Why it is showing 3? Any guesses? Dilip, Rupesh, Sunanda? Because what we have discussed, this interface is always tagged to the respective region. If you want to tag this interface to the instances, that instances and network interface which you have created should be in the same availability zone. See, now we have created network interface in US East 1B. In my account, there are 3 servers only in US East 1B. Remaining 2 are in different availability zone. So that's why we are seeing only that's why we are seeing only 3 instances. Okay, where is that? Okay, click on action, attach. So if you want, whether you want to tag it to first instance or second instance. Currently, I'm assigning to the first instance. Click on attach. Okay, it will take just few seconds to attach. Now see, you can see it is in use, the test instance which I created. Now, to check whether this instance is already assigned to it, what is the command to check network interfaces available? If config. Now you can see ENX 0 is the earlier one that is present. Now you have ENX 1. This is how you need to create a network interface. This is how you need to assign a network interface to the instance. Now, application team can use this IP address while configuring the application. Application team will configure this while use this scooter. So it is how to configure this IP to the application is not our AWS admin job. It is the job of the application team. Okay. As an AWS admin, you have to assign the IP address only to the particular network interface. Now what we did, we have assigned a network interface to the particular server. This is a test interface. Okay. Now to see what are all the, I have attached it to the first instance, right? Go to this instance, go to networking. Now you can see 2 interfaces has been assigned to this particular interface. What is the instance name? FA. This is a test instance that has been assigned. This is how you need to assign. Okay. Now if I want to detach it, just click on detach. If you want to remove. See, now test interface has been detached. After just 30 seconds, it will be available. Now if you go to instance and execute, if config, that interface will not be available. Okay. So now the reason why I configured 2 instances, application team sometimes uses load balancers. Okay. Load balancer is nothing but just to balance the load, an application will be configured. For example, you have 2 instances. EC2 1, EC2 2 instances. Now what I did, I have assigned one interface. I have created one network interface, right? I have created one network interface. I have mapped it to the server. Map it to V1 and I have removed it. Now what I will do, what I did, I have detached it from here. Now I will configure to EC2. So this is, assume that an application, if application is present, this application will be used this IP address which is tagged to this network interface, and you can create a load balancer. Load balancer is used to balance the load between, if the traffic is high, it will route few requests to this server, it will route few requests to this server. To balance the load, we will create the load balancer. That is the next topic we will discuss. Load balancer is the next concept. Just to get the idea why we need to create IPs, different IPs mapped to the servers is like to perform. Now what application team will do? Application team will configure this IP, the secondary IP, in such a way that it will route to the instance depending upon the traffic. How it will route, that all will be configuration under the application. You shouldn't worry about it. So basically, there will be, along with the primary interface for any server, there will be a secondary interface or another interface would be there. That is used to switch between this IP is used to switch between the two servers. That is how it will configure. Now we can simply, we have detached one network interface, right? You have initially configured one IP. Now the same, now I want to attach it to the second instance. Now you are just switching it manually. If you configure this IP in the application in such a way that it should transfer between these two servers, then automatically, depending upon the traffic, this IP will switch between the servers to perform the load balancing. So the extra IPs that are assigned to this interface is always used by the application team only. In the respective application configuration, this will be used. So the only intention I want to show this is to the purpose of network interface is to add multiple IPs to the server, and application team will use these servers to switch between the network, or we can say network failover. Network failover చేయడానికి కూడా యూజ్ చేస్తారు. నెట్వర్క్ ఫెయిల్ఓవర్ అంటే సేమ్ ట్రాఫిక్ ఇటు రౌట్ చేసే ట్రాఫిక్ ని ఇటు రౌట్ చేయడానికి నెట్వర్క్ ఫెయిల్ఓవర్ అని కూడా వచ్చింది. సో ఆ పర్పస్ లో కూడా వాడతాం అన్నమాట. ఓకే, యూ షుడ్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద డిఫరెన్స్. దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ద network interface and all. Now it is tagged to test interface is, see, it is in use. It is tagged to EC2, another second EC2 instance. To validate whether it is already the tagged to the second EC2 instance, what you have to do, go to the server, go to the networking and see two interfaces would be available. Okay. This is how you need to configure the network interfaces in a server. Now, where is the test instance? This is my test instance. I am detaching it. Any doubts regarding the network interfaces? Okay, this is a test interface. You can delete it also after use. So every time, what is the main thing in AWS? After practice, you can yes. EC2 instance. we have created a virtual NIC. Okay, IP address is assigned to this particular. What we did first, we have created it. Assume this is virtual machine. We have attached it. The attach option is used to attach this to the server. Detach means remove it from the server. Attach, detach. After detaching only, you can delete it. First, we have created the network interface. After that, we have attached it to the server so that application team can use it. If application team is not using it, we have to detach and then we have to delete it. Now, your task is after attaching the NIC interface to the server, without detaching, try to delete it. See whether you can able to delete it or not. Take this as a task. Okay, attach it. Then after attaching it, try to delete the NIC and see if you are able to delete it or not. Okay, yeah. This is all about the basic concept of network interface. Any doubt? Hope it is clear. Just any doubts? Rupesh, Sugandha, Dilip?
No, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for confirming. Okay. Now we'll discuss another topic, that is EC2 Hibernate. Okay. What is EC2 Hibernate? EC2 Hibernate is so just consider an example. You are using your laptop. Okay. You are using your laptop after some 30 minutes of your work. Okay. You have shut down the laptop. So what happens? All the data that is been saved, saved means if you don't save it just in the notepad, if you have just copied some content without saving, if you shut down the server, what happens to that? The content will be lost. Correct? Without shutdown, just you make it in the sleep mode. Sleep mode is nothing but hibernation. So this is the relatable concept. So in EC2 instance also, we can hibernate it. We can hibernate the EC2 instance also. Okay. So what is the purpose of hibernation? If there is any long processes running on the EC2 instance, you don't want to shut down that EC2 instance. Just you keep the processes running for that server. You don't want to use it. You can just hibernate it. If you want to save the RAM state, RAM means currently you are using the RAM, right? All the data will be saved in the RAM. Whatever the memory you are using, right? Everything will be saved in the random access memory, right? To save that state, we will use hibernation. Okay. Just to make the EC2 instance in the same. For example, this is the EC2 instance. You have created an EC2 instance. Okay. For EC2 instance, there will be RAM will be there, right? RAM అనేది ఉంటుంది. So when you are using this EC2 instance, what are all the transactions that are using will be stored in the RAM. Is it yes or no? Everything will be stored in the RAM. If you shut down, the contents in the RAM will be deleted. if you hibernate this EC2, what happens is, so for every server, storage will be there, right? We are creating a separate storage disk is attaching by default 8 GB. We are attaching the 8 GB storage, right? For every instance, when we are launching it, we are adding 8 GB volume, right? Okay, just I'm terminating these instances as I'm not using. Okay, storage disk will be attached to the EC2 instance. Okay, when you hibernate an instance, listen carefully. You will understand. When you hibernate instance, the contents in the RAM will be copied to the disk, and it will, if it is in the disk, the data is persistent. It will not delete. Okay, it will be stored in the RAM. Assume this, it is a disk. Okay, it will be stored here. Again, when you hibernation happened here, you hibernated it. Now hibernated means closing the laptop. Example, consider hibernating the instance. No, like you cannot log into that instance. You can hibernate it. Now again, you will start the instance. If you start the instance again, what will happen? The contents in the disk will be copied to the RAM. The contents in the disk, same, V1 only you have started it again. First created instance, you have used for 1 hour, and then you have initiated hibernation. So when you initiated hibernation, what happened? The contents in the RAM is stored to the disk. Again, when you start, all the disk contents in the disk is stored in the will come to the RAM. And when you access the server and see what are all the, if for example you have saved some notepad here, you have opened the notepad and you have some written some content. So when you again start after hibernation, again when you start the instance, the same will be appear here. Means the state will be restored. If there are any scenarios in the real-time environment where the system state to be restored, preserved, then you will use this EC2 hibernate concept. Clear? Yes? Exactly. Super dot. Very nice. Very good. So when we are considering this hibernation, when you plan an EC2 instance to hibernate, you should always consider that the size of the RAM should be more than the size of the disk should be more than size of the RAM. This is the condition you have to maintain when you are creating hibernation. Very good, Nana. Okay, you have to ask these doubts. Very good. And also along with this, the disk which you are using in hibernation instance should be encrypted. Should be encrypted. Okay. What are the two conditions for an EC2 hibernation? One is the size of the storage should be more than RAM, and also the disk should be encrypted. These two conditions need to be followed for hibernation. Clear? Any doubts? No? Hope you are listening.
Yeah, sir, no
Yes,
doubt.
sir. No doubt, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I think it is almost 10:30, right, for you?
Yeah, I got the same question that he asked. It's clear now.
Good, good. Yeah, glad
Yeah.
that you got the question. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, now we will see how to implement this hibernation. Okay, these are terminated. So now we will launch an instance. This I'm considering test instance, Amazon Linux. I'm just going with the default test key one. I'm just going with the existing security group, launch wizard 7, storage. What I said in the storage, the RAM, size of the RAM should, size of the disk should be more than RAM. So what is the size of the storage? 8. What is the size of the RAM? 1 GB. Condition met? First condition. What is the second condition? What is the second condition? Encrypted. Very good. Go to advanced. So this is the 8 GB disk. Okay. You have to enable encryption. And the encryption mechanism is go with the default. Okay. Now in the advanced option, you have to hibernate behavior enable. Okay. Hibernate behavior enable. Launch instance. Now see. So this is the test instance. Just we'll wait for a minute. We'll try to connect. Okay. So if you want to check for which using which ID you logged into the server, enter ID. This is a command. Just try to, in this process of course, right? You will learn few Linux commands. Try to remember it. ID is a command to check using which user you logged into the Linux server. If you want to switch to root, sudo su hyphen. If you want to, after switching to the root user, if you want to check the ID, you will get the root. For root user, always ID, UID will be 0. For all other users, it will be some random user ID. Here you will have the root user is always 0. Okay. Now, what is uptime? It has 1 minute. Okay. It has been up since 1 minute. Okay. Let's wait for another minute. If you do watch, right, before any command, if you apply watch, it will watch that command, what happens for that. For every 2 seconds, the output will be refreshed. Okay. So now uptime is how much? Just see, it is 2 minutes. Now, what are the instance that you have used? This is a test instance, right? This is a test instance. Now, what we will do is we will hibernate this instance. It should not shut down. We are not shut downing that server. Shutdown means contents will go. Now we are hibernating it. Just click on hibernate. Successfully initiated hibernation. Okay. Refresh it. After initiating, right, you can see it is stopping. But actually it is not getting shut down. It is just stopping. So here we are only just checking whether after, if you do hibernation, whether it is shutting down or not. That is what we are checking here. Instead of creating it, we can always check by creating one test file. That you have to do that testing. After logging into the Linux server, create any file in the Linux. You will get the commands in the Google how to create a file in Linux. Search for it. Create a file in the server. Save it. Then do hibernation. Then after starting, check whether that file is present or not. This is your task. I am just checking here. I just want to show here to you that whether it is shutting down or not if you enable hibernation. That is my intention here. Okay, still it is stopping. Okay, test instances. Okay, it will be stopped in a minute. Okay, it will come to stopping. Clear? Okay, we'll wait for a minute. So this is what we explained. The purpose of here is, see, the instance boot time is much faster. This is the purpose. So basically here, root EBS volume it is showing, right? It is showing shut down. It will, after sharing, it will shut. This is a hibernation mode. In hibernation, now currently our EC2 instance is in this mode now. After that, it will shut down. Means it will come to stop stage. Then if you start, it will run. So this, in this process, all the contents is storing to the EBS volume. Okay, so EC2 hibernation is supported in only specific family types. In instance, there will be family types, right? When you have created an instance, there will be family types we are choosing, right? When you are launching an instance, different family types you are able to see, right? Instance type. See, these are all the different family types. So hibernation only supported only for specific family types. And also one condition is the RAM size of that should be less than 150 GB. Okay, 150 GB, the RAM size is limited. It should not be more than 150 GB. There is a condition. Okay, for AMI's root volume must be EBS volume, EBS elastic block storage. The storage that is assigned is called as EBS, means elastic block storage, that is encrypted. An instance cannot be hibernated more than 60 days. Okay, 60 days is the limit. Okay, this is all about hibernation. Now we will see what is the state of that instance. It is still stopping. Why it's taking so much time? Okay, don't worry. We'll try to start the instance. Okay, force stop. I think we cannot start it. Okay. Yeah, this is still stopping. After getting stopped, Just you need to select here, again click on start instance. After starting instance, just compare the time. Initially it was uptime was 2 minutes, right? Now it will be, the addition time will be added to that 2 minutes. Basically, just to verify whether it is shutting down or not. That's it. So your task is create a file and see it. Okay. This is all about hibernation. Okay. Sometimes because of some network delays or some latency within the AWS, it will happen like this. Okay. I think you are clear, right? What we have to do next. After that, start the instance and check whether the file is present or not for your practice. Okay. Yeah.